So I'm going to say, does anyone want to ask any questions about either what I've just said or things you think, well, I wonder what that would be about, or is there anything in the book about this, that and all? I'm quite happy to try and answer any questions if anyone has any. I'll take Jim first.
Sorry,
can take Jim first.
You talk about these guys and what they did and their training regime. There's one interesting aspect that I've noted that you haven't mentioned at all. Did they ever have anyone as a coach, someone who advised them, coached them, told them what they should and shouldn't be doing?
Right. If you take John Wilde first, he was coached for quite a while by a chap called Alan Warner, okay, and Steve Jones was in the RAF as well, and Alan Warner advised Steve Jones for quite a while. So yes, he did, but when he moved to the Fells, he actually went self-trained. He also used to train with Harry Wilson. So when John was doing steeplechase, he would go to Gosling, where Harry Wilson had a set of runners, and he would train with Tony Simmons and people like that. So yeah, he did. Kenny didn't, and it was probably more likely that a fellow runner wouldn't have a coach than would. Although, if you read in It's a Hill, the two guys, Fred Reeves and Tommy Sedgwick, actually did have coaches, and it was a bit like the stuff in that time, late 70s. It was a bit like the story in Chariots of Fire. Was it Sam Mazzabini? You weren't supposed to have a coach in those days. In trail running, you weren't supposed to have a coach, but these guys, sometimes to be the best, you had to do that. Kenny actually, for a little while, when he was on the Fells and he moved to marathon, he was coached by a chap called Dave Cannon. Dave Cannon was an international marathon runner, 2:11 or something like that. He ended up having the same problem as Kenny, that he was diagnosed with what may have been ME, may have been chronic fatigue syndrome, and both their careers actually were affected towards the end by that. And one of the things I'm actually thinking of doing, whilst I was in the lakes last weekend, there's a chap called Steve Birkinshaw. Does everyone know Steve Birkinshaw? The guy who did all the Wainwrights in 7 days, quite recently. He's had all sorts of chronic fatigue syndrome issues since then. And so I met him for a coffee after on the Sunday after the thing, and we've agreed to think about writing something for the Fell Runner about what not that we've got any massive amount of knowledge about, because the medical industry doesn't really know what to do about chronic fatigue syndrome, but we could produce the case studies of Kenny, Dave Cannon, Steve himself, and actually just put those down and say, look guys, think about this. If you're ignoring your own body, because one of the things about Steve Birkinshaw when doing the, I'm going way off track here, Jim, sorry, doing the Wainwrights, is he was so mentally strong that he was going when he shouldn't have been, but his target was to do that thing and beat Joss's record, And there's all sorts of other examples of people who've done that. You could argue that Dave Bedford trained 200 miles a week sometimes and got away with it. It's a bit of a difficult one, but that's something I'm hoping to investigate in a separate time.
Trained on beer.
Bob.
Well, I suppose I was just wondering, clearly you needed the cooperation of these two men. How did you first approach them with the notion of doing it?
Okay, I actually said to Kenny on Saturday, I couldn't remember the first time I'd introduced myself to him, because he features largely in It's a Hill, Get Over It, because that includes my three big running heroes, which are Joss Naylor, Billy Bland and Kenny Stewart. I must have had a lead from someone in the game who said, Kenny's a good guy, he will talk to you. And I spent a lot of time talking to him on the first book and a lot of time talking to him on this book. So it's in the midst of time, but it was a network thing. John Wilde was a social media thing. There's some of you guys might subscribe to I Am or Was a Runner, which is a forum. Okay, there's a posting from someone called John Wilde about something to do with running that was to do with fell running. I thought, well, that's a coincidence. I know this guy's a big guy. I hadn't had any chance to meet him before. I just dropped him a little line and said, are you John Wilde? And he came back and said, yeah, would you be interested in collaborating in a book? He said, I'd love to go through all of that. And so I spent a lot of time with both John and Kenny and their families just doing that thing. And it was that got me to write. It was the fact that kind of serendipity brought that into my availability, so to speak. When we did it. Come on.
I was going to say, it seems to be a fact that if you say I'm writing a book, I'm an author, anyone you talk to starts to open up immediately and tell you their life story.
Oh, you'd be surprised how that's not always the case, actually. I won't go on about it, but I have a real issue in the first book about the trail running community itself not wanting this upstart southerner with no form, who wasn't part of the scene, writing about trail running. And the actual governing body of the sport actually refused me access to their publication and said we don't need you writing a book. Because they'd had a bit of a problem, again on the side, Richard Ashley wrote Feet in the Clouds, he was a journalist, and it made quite a lot of people think about trail running. Trail running is very insular at some levels, inward looking, doesn't want all these urberts from the south who are road runners coming and running on their fells. So there was a bit of an issue about that. There was even individuals who chose, well, I suppose they're right, to say I don't want to talk to you. And there's even someone I went to the trouble of going to the lectures and interviewing and going through the whole process of doing it, and they said, I don't want to do it, I've changed my mind, pulled it. And that's just how it works. But in general, it's kind of a human emotion to say, someone's interested in me and my story.
That's right.
Well, that's, I'd like to.
Can I ask just two things? One is, what did those guys do for a living?
Right.
And I can't remember what the second one
Come back in a minute.
was. Other than, what were you doing during 81, 82, 83?
I was working on this. Oh no.
Affect the work you were, the study you were doing, research you were doing. The fact that you were looking back at that period,
right.
were you then thinking, now in 81, 82, 83, this is what I was doing?
Well, I can answer that easily. I was working at this place at that time. I was also a mediocre marathon runner in all that period. I ran every marathon from 81 to 85. And so I was a keen roader. But if you look at my running career, I got bored with marathon running and moved to the fells in the middle of that period. So I started thinking, I want to do some of these things. So that answers that question. What did they do? Kenny Stewart was a gardener. He did manual work, which was, again, the surprising thing. I thought that might be a disadvantage. He thought it was an advantage because he worked in a place where he could govern his own time, and he was in a good situation. The employer would actually let him go to races time off in the flight. John Wilde was an RAF. He went through the whole process of being in the RAF, going up through the ranks. He ended up as an officer, but he had to work shifts, extra shifts, and change for people to be able to go places. He could only train in the certain times of the day. I mean, he tells a story in there about Steve Jones. Steve Jones set the world best for the marathon in, anyone remember, Chicago? Whatever it was. He was then allowed to go to run and start work an hour later because they could start seeing there's some kudos for the RAF having a guy who was that high profile. Okay. Also, there's also stuff about Steve Jones's early life. Steve Jones was not a model athlete in his youth, by the way. There was some of this and some of that, and all sorts of things. But he could knuckle down in the same way as if you remember the story about David Thompson, Liver Christie, athletics major. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Well, presumably, Steve, that now you've written two books before you did this one. You were able to, you had a track record basically. As you're approaching people to write this book, you've got a track record.
Yeah, I think to be fair, my network of people has incrementally increased, and it's like a dendritic tree, if you know your geography. Yeah. But each one moves out to a couple of people, and then move out to another couple of people. I've got a very good network, so I'm able to take advantage of that. I think my credibility, it's difficult to say. I'd quite like to go back. I don't know if I told you this story before, Alan. What I originally wanted to do, what I pitched to my publisher, was I wanted to write a book about Billy Bland and Gavin Bland, who are related, who were the top trail runners in one particular era. They were in the same family, they had other members of the family who were brilliant trail runners. I wanted to write the Bland family story as a book. The publisher said, it's too narrow, won't be any interest in it. Expand it to a history of trail running, and we'd be interested. I'm not of a mind, although I'm not actually actively writing it at the moment, to actually go back to them and say, can I now write that story? But I don't know whether I've covered too many bits of that story in snatches elsewhere. Okay, so Billy Bland figures really big in the round because he holds the record above the round, so I might have done that territory. So I don't know. But it's difficult to say whether I got, because some bloke at the launch at Keswick, who's the top fell runner at the minute, one of the names, said something really nice about the books have put you out there as some kind of, not an authority, but someone who's got something to say, which was a nice thing, really.
We did the Burnstall 10 mile last year,
Yeah,
and then afterwards we watched Ted Mason do the fail race.
yeah,
And oh my God, when you actually see it, it is amazing to actually see these fail runners
yeah.
from the outside when you actually.
Do you know what he does for a living?
No.
He's a farmer.
Oh yes, I do actually. Yeah, no, we were told that by our friend. Yeah,
And
and he was.
as is Nicky Spinks, who holds the
Yes,
record
yeah.
for the double
Yeah.
book ground round, in two
Yeah.
book grounds back to back in less than
Yeah.
48 hours. She's a farmer.
Yeah.
And a cancer survivor as well, by the way. So she's actually trying to write her own book at the minute, which I think.
Like, so what was amazing about that race wasn't so much the speed that they went up at, because even the guy who was second run close, it was the speed that he came down at.
Yeah.
Right.
It was amazing.
I've got a little video clip of Kenny running at Kilmsey Crag. It's another one of these really sharp ups and a really sharp down. And it's just fantastic seeing this guy being able to run up stuff and also run down over the screes and the rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
Just a really brilliant balance. So Kenny was about 8 stone, he still is. He wasn't all that tall, but he had a brilliant power to weight ratio and was absolutely nimble on his feet. So there's different. Ken Mason is not the slimmest person you would ever see.
Back to see him come down.
Yeah, but he's got that ability. In fact, I asked Billy Bland at one point, this is it, the little stories in the book, I said, is it a question of when you go down here, it's not having no nerves? He said, no, it's not. You've got to be in control of what you're doing, otherwise you're going to lose it. It's not a question of being nervous, it's been a question of being in control and having the confidence to do it. And so there was these little snippets of training and other advice that I just think were just top on. Yeah.
Do you think there was a golden era that we're talking a lot about the 80s, which is quite a lot of
Okay,
time ago?
it's easy to say, okay, no one's beaten some of those records from there, so therefore there must have been. And it's not a black and white situation, but at that time, in the 80s, in trail running, there was a core of people who were all pushing each other, and they had a particular emphasis on what they were going to do. There is a feeling sometimes now that the trail running scene has expanded more and more, so there's way more races. The trail running championship is 5 races only now, so it's a completely different scene. And I think it's diluted a little bit by what's called mountain running as well, which is what they do on the continent, which is often uphill only and not on as rough territory as we run in this country. So there's a different breed of, in the southern, was it Chris Smith, was he in the medals in the Southern Championship from TVH?
He has been before.
Yeah, so there's a guy who's we would see in some of the major races in the south of England. He's an excellent cross-country runner, but he can go off and do these mountain races because they're uphill road races in effect. So yes, I would probably say there was, in the same way as you could argue there was that 800 metre area where it went from Coe Ovett, Cram, McKean, all those others, and it's not really been repeated. You can't really explain why, but I think yes, and that was what attracted me to that story. It's the fact that there was this huge thing with the two guys bashing each other up, and the fact that they had this crossover of lifestyles and interests, and what happened to them afterwards as well. So yeah, I would say yeah. Yeah.
Do you think they made each other better runners?
Yes.
Their rivalry kind of took them somewhere they perhaps might not have been otherwise.
I think so. Again, in the book, I'm not sure if it's John or Kenny who actually says that. There's a really nice bit later on where they say what they think about each other in the nicest way, admitting, Kenny might be the best uphill of the two, but John might be the best downhill of the two. But it was definitely the case that they would be pushing each other. There's a comment from Kenny saying, I can't remember exactly how the words go, but it's something like, if I'm gonna kill myself, so they've got to kill themselves to beat me. And it's that kind of mentality. that had to happen. I genuinely think that it was those two guys and Jack Maitland and some of the others who were equally pushing them that made it. Kenny claims his record for the Snowdon race was made because someone really charged up. He thought, I don't know if this guy's going to be able to hold it, I'm going to go with him. And he ran faster up than he'd ever run before, and then sailed down and won it on the down. So yes, I definitely think that's the case. Yeah. And it happens in other aspects of athletics, doesn't it? It's definitely the case. Strangely enough, they never trained together. They were never in the same place at the same time. John went up there to train for a weekend, went out with his dog and twisted his ankle on a walk with his dog the day beforehand, and they never trained together. Because they had slightly different approaches to training, you'll see if you read it through. Kenny would do uphill reps as his speed work. John would do traditional athletes rep stuff and then do the hills to build it back together. So they had slightly different approaches, but yeah, I would definitely say it was the push of the two that did it. Anyone else?
Is there a youth movement for hill running at all, which will bring you?
Well, there's some really strong youngsters clubs at the minute. In Keswick, for some reason, Helm Hill were in Kendal are the club that I can see producing lots of kids at the minute. There's a couple of ones in Yorkshire who've got very good records. If you see that there's an inter-counties cross fell running championships. If you see who wins that, it's teams from Bingley and some of the other clubs. Yeah. And there is a certain one. I don't know about numbers of people going into the sport and running. I have no information about that, but there are certain pockets of absolute excellence. And as you know, in most athletics, it's because of some catalyst or other.
Yeah.
It's either a good coach or a structure that works or something that. So there are some certain pockets of that.
So last question.
Go on.
Are you actually writing your fourth book yet?
No.
I'm looking for it.
As I said last time, that I already was several months into the next book. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Just curious. Just research stage at the moment.
I have ideas. Someone suggested I should write a history of women's trail running, because women's trail running came way later. I'm not sure there's a book there, but I'm quite interested in that aspect, and I've got good contact with people like Sarah Rowell and Pauline Stewart and various people like that. So that's a possibility. I might still think about going back to the Blands, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think a trilogy is maybe enough. I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
So many trilogy. My publisher is a very nice man with a wicked sense of humour. He called me the Bard of Trail Running the other day, which I'm sure is a bard compliment.
Yes. Well, thanks.
There's no poetry in there. Okay. Well, I'm sure we probably won't get thrown out immediately, but I'm just going to finish now and say if anyone still wants to buy a book and have a sign or anything, I'm quite happy to do that. I would really just like to say thank you to a couple of people. I'd particularly like to say thanks to Middlesex University. They don't work in here anymore. I was wondering where I was going to do a launch this time, but thanks to Mel Parker, who's with us today, I was able to get this room booked and used on our behalf. So thanks to Middlesex and thanks to Mel for that, who also arranged the catering through the university community. So please do, I don't want to take those things home, so please do eat, drink in a minute. So thanks for that. Thank you very much for Will for introducing me and being my very critical and very important friend, and still a friend, and will still be after the facial comments of earlier. I'd like to thank Angus, who's my colleague from work, who's been running the video for me, and I really thank him for giving up his time in the evening to come to do that, and a little bit of editing as well, which will happen, I hope. Otherwise, it would just be a disaster. Thank you, Angus, for doing that. It will be up on the blog or somewhere or other later on if you want to have a look. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate seeing you. It's just nice to share stories about the book with you. And say, if you ever thought about doing some writing yourself, please, I said this at the last one, didn't I? You know what the ad-lib's coming here, don't you? Don't hesitate to feel like you want to take up writing, and the page on Amazon where you can say what you think about my books is always available. So seriously, if anyone wants to join us afterwards, when we've finished here, we've eaten all the food and the drinks, done all the books and stuff, I'm going to the Greyhound around the corner. Loosener, if no one wants to join me for that, I'd be pleased to buy you a drink. So thank you very much.